Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Sunday, March 15th. Ian Cameron with you. Alex B. Smith will be along in just a moment as well, ready to break down the Sunday NHL card, a Sunday six-pack in the NHL. 6 games on tap. We'll get to those in just a moment. First, we'll look back at a Saturday that was, win some, lose some kind of Saturday. It really was. It felt like we won one, we lost one, we won one, we lost one, as far as wagering is concerned. So it was that kind of day when you look at the way the card transpired. It started, obviously, with the game between Anaheim and Ottawa, and shutout for the Ottawa Senators, 2-0, as they defeat the Anaheim Ducks in that game. Much needed for Ottawa, who currently are on the outside looking in as far as the Eastern Conference playoffs, and especially when you see some of the results around them yesterday, even more important when they see other teams winning, even more important that Ottawa was able to collect the 2 points there in that game against Anaheim. Washington ends up losing at home 3-2 to the Boston Bruins. Another disappointing setback for the Capitals. Washington was up 2-1 in the third. You know, the margin for error is is getting tighter and tighter for Washington. You know, they have ground to make up. Boston's the team they need to try to catch. You know, to not only, it would have been bad enough if they had won the game in a shootout or overtime and let the Bruins get a point. The fact that the Bruins ended up getting the win and both points, and Washington falls another point behind the Boston Bruins, another point further behind them, is just very, very disappointing for them. And Boston with a much-needed win for their confidence away from home. We've talked about how they've been almost unbeatable at home, of course, until San Jose tripped them up in their last game. But we also talked about how they've been awful on the road, and it's just been such a difference between the way they've played at home versus the way they've played on the road. But they snapped their 7-game road losing streak, the Boston Bruins, with that victory over the Washington Capitals, 3-2 yesterday in the shootout. So nice win there for Boston in that game. How about the Winnipeg Jets? A Winnipeg Jets team that obviously has been up and down, but boy, a big win for them yesterday against the Colorado Avalanche. And you know, we kind of talked about this. Colorado sometimes has games like that where it's just like, I don't know, it's just you don't get them focused, you don't get them dialed in. I don't think there was a great deal of energy. I know they came on eventually in the third period, but by then they were trailing. It was a very pedestrian effort is what I would refer to it for the Colorado Avalanche yesterday. But give Winnipeg some credit. It was a good win for them. 3-1 over the Colorado Avalanche, and that we talked about it too. That Colorado's had their issues in Winnipeg, and that's now 1 goal in the last 3 games for the Colorado Avalanche at Canada Life Center. So the Jets get the win there, 3-1. The Rangers, I kind of thought they had a shot in that game against the Minnesota Wild. They've been playing better hockey. They've been scoring goals. So we cashed with the Rangers money line and the team, a little small bet on the money line. I had more on the team total over 2.5. That ended up cashing pretty easily. I did have the full game over, and that was frustrating. Minnesota had chances and power plays in the third period. Igor Shesterkin was a tower of power, and that was a terrific game from him, and we know he's always capable of it, but he was excellent for the New York Rangers, helping them get that victory yesterday against the Minnesota Wild. And this is that time of year now. We're inside the last month of the regular season. You're going to see some weird results. You're going to see some games where big underdogs are going to strike on occasion. And we certainly saw that yesterday with the New York Rangers. And I'm telling you what, you're right. The Wild have to pick it up. And the Wild have a game tonight against Toronto, which we'll get to. You got to get the 2 points. You do against a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs. And like I said, that was a disappointing loss for Minnesota. They've now lost a couple in a row. Their offense has kind of cooled off. Goal scoring has been a little bit hard to come by for the Wild during this little downturn that they've had. So they'll be back in action tonight trying to respond against the Toronto Maple Leafs. How about those San Jose Sharks? Another very, very good road win for them. Boston the other night ending their home win streak, and now Montreal last night, 4-2 win for the Sharks. very impressive stuff. A little scary moment there with Chernyshov getting injured. Hopefully he will be okay long term. That was a bit of a scary moment there. But San Jose, great win, 4-2 last night against the Montreal Canadiens. The over fell short, was a bit frustrating. Didn't get the empty net goal late. But San Jose, nice 4-2 win. And again, another underdog coming through there in that game. Calgary and the Islanders, 3-2 Islanders. We did take the Islanders in this game, money line. Didn't love the price, but still bet them. We did have the over, though. And again, another situation where it ends 3-2, and we had chances, to maybe see that game get that sixth goal. But at the end of the day, it was 3-2 Islanders, a much-needed win for them as they try to maintain their hold on a playoff spot and the third spot in the Metro. Carolina, 4-2. This was, other than the over landing with a push. There was a lot of pushes last night. A lot of these games landed right on 6, especially for those that had over 6. Kind of disappointing, but we did have Carolina money line, Carolina team total over 2.5. More so on the team total because I was a little concerned with Freddie Anderson, but Freddie Anderson played pretty well, actually, one of his better games. And the Tampa Bay Lightning struggles continue. They lose 4-2 to the Hurricanes last night. Carolina was the much better team. Totally deserved the win. 35-19. Were the shots in favor of the Hurricanes in that game. So, like I said, Freddie Anderson, give him credit. Now, he wasn't overly busy. I mean, it was only 19 shots, and he did still give up 2 goals. But for Freddie standards, that was still better than we've seen from him much of the season. Carolina, very good win for them last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, 4-2 there. So we did. The biggest bet for me there was Carolina team total over 2.5. No, it wasn't 2. It was over 3. I bet it at a flat 3, but it cashed anyway. 4-2 Carolina there. Over. That's why we didn't jump off the train, even though the Kings game on Friday night against the New York Islanders stayed under. There was still good pace. There were still a lot of chances. We just didn't get the finish. We just didn't get the goals we needed. We certainly got them last night, easily sailing over the total. The LA Kings and the New Jersey Devils last night, 6-4, the victory. For the Devils there in that game. Very, very solid performance there by New Jersey. And they're starting to score goals left and right. And New Jersey's on a bit of an over-the-total heater right now, and it's because their offense has come to life. They have been scoring goals lately, the New Jersey Devils, but they've been giving them up a little bit as well, and we saw that again on display last night. So they've been a nice over team, and that's definitely something I'm keeping my eye on moving forward, is that the Devils might be a good team to bet overs with here in the short term, scoring, but also giving up goals of late, and that might continue. And Jack Hughes is on that gold medal game overtime winner for Team USA has gone right to his feet, right to his skates. He's been on a great offensive tear since that Olympic break for the New Jersey Devils, so he continues to play good hockey there. This was frustrating. Obviously, we had Buffalo team total over, and it fell short 3-2. The Leafs played hard, and I guess the one thing I kind of overlooked was that this was the first game after they had the game where they got embarrassed by the fact that nobody stuck up for their captain, Austin Matthews, and they played with great intensity, great physicality, great effort. It wasn't enough to get the win, but it was enough for them to push the Buffalo Sabres last night. And a 3-2 win there for Buffalo in that game in a shootout. Joe Woll was phenomenal again. And lost in the fact that the Leafs have been losing games is the fact that they've been losing games. They haven't been losing games because of Joseph Woll. He has given them a chance every single time. They've been losing it because they've either not scored enough or the defensive breakdowns have been so egregious that not even Marty Brodeur could stop them. That's been the issue. Joe Woll's done everything in his power as far as goaltending to give the Leafs. He was terrific last night, even in a losing effort. So like I said, that's definitely concerning with the Leafs as far as their defensive play, but Joe Woll kept them in it because Buffalo could have had 5 or 6. That's what was frustrating about Buffalo's team total falling short. Buffalo could have had 5 or 6 goals. I mean, they were all over Toronto in the third period, but it ended up going to a shootout, and the Sabres get the 3-2 win in that one. This was a good game. We had Columbus in the draw. Both of them cash. A 2-1 win for the Jackets. A big 2 points for them, especially when they see everything else going on in the standings. So it was big for them to get the 2 points there in that game against the Philadelphia Flyers. So a big victory there for the Blue Jackets, 2-1 over the Flyers. Dallas, boy, they had a 2-0 lead. It looked like they were going to roll the victory against Detroit, but the Red Wings get a pair of goals to tie it in the third, force overtime, but Dallas gets the overtime win 3-2. I'll say this, that's still a big, big point that the Detroit Red Wings came back to get. Even though they lost in overtime, Thomas Harley, the overtime winner, it was still very important for the Detroit Red Wings to get a point out of that game, because they are the team now that's hanging on at the moment. They've been passed by, Boston. They've been passed by Montreal. And when you look at the standings right now, as far as the wild card goes, this is a Detroit Red Wings team that certainly, their spot is very tenuous right now. We've seen this team flame out and fail to make the playoffs in the last few years, so don't put it past them again. They're now only 1 point up on Columbus, 5 points up on Ottawa in the wild card race. They are tied with Boston, but I believe Boston gets Boston has the tiebreaker right now, which is regulation wins. Boston has 27 regulation wins. Detroit only has 25 regulation wins. So that is why, Boston is the wild card one right now, and Detroit's the second wild card team. But still, both of them, even Boston, they've got work to do as well, with Columbus and Ottawa gaining ground on them. So, but still, it's a massive, massive rescue of a point for the Detroit Red Wings there by getting that game to overtime against Dallas. This was a brutal loss for the Utah Mammoth. Brutal. They have the start you want. Pittsburgh's kind of been floundering a bit the last few games. You're up 2-0 in your home building. You've lost a couple in a row. You're looking to respond. And then all of a sudden, you get into penalty trouble. You lose your discipline a little bit. Pittsburgh capitalizes on the power play to make it 2-1, and then all the momentum shifted right from that moment toward the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's a really rough loss for Utah. And just when we were seeing Utah have that great road trip, build a little momentum, gain some separation, I guess they're still in a decent spot. Like, they're the first wild card. They have 74 points. They're still 4 up on San Jose, 5 points ahead of both Seattle and LA, who are the last two teams on the outside looking in. But 5 points can be made up with still a month left in the season. So Utah needing to pick things up, and that was a very disheartening loss for them against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Disheartening for me because I had Utah money line and team total over split. Did have the full game over, so we did hit that, but it should have been a sweep, or at least it should have been better than that. But yeah, disappointing loss for sure from the Utah Mammoth in that game. Hey, as you see, Alex is now with us on the show. He nailed this one with Chicago. They were just dead as a doornail last night against the Vegas Golden Knights. Shut out 4-0. Went away with a whimper last night at T-Mobile Arena. But now Vegas starting to build a little momentum finally. 2 wins in a row on this homestand after some struggles before that. So see if Vegas can keep building on that. And we did end the night with a great result with Seattle-Vancouver. We had Seattle in the over. Both of them cash. It was a must-get 2 points for the Kraken. If you're going to stop the bleeding, you got to do it against a team like the Vancouver Canucks. They were able to do that. A nice 5-2 victory for Seattle there. Alex with us now. Alex, great timing because I'm done my part. Your thoughts on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with that Hawks game against Vegas, we had, the right handicap, but didn't have the right set of plays. Had that team total at a 4, that pushed, did not get the over 6. Once again, I don't know what's going on with Jeff Blashill, but he's, giving us the old okey doke again. This is two games in a row now where we're thinking, oh, it looks like an Arvid Soderblom start, and all of a sudden here we go, it's Spencer Knight going in net. So not too happy about that because I would have certainly been able to change the plays around that I liked. Didn't hear it until about maybe right before the warm-ups there. So that's something that's going to happen with some of these teams, especially that are out of the playoff race. Going to be calling up guys, making lineup changes. We have to kind of wait for certain things to be confirmed down the road. But like I said, that just felt like a bad spot for the Hawks and a great spot for Vegas to take care of business and get 2 points that they desperately needed against the Hawks team that I'm sure was feeling themselves after that win against Utah. I thought it was just really significant to see how Connor Bedard was chirping the fans in Utah and the way that they celebrated that overtime goal. It just told me that, they've had a lot those last 3 games going past regulation. Each of those that they may have a flat spot, and that's exactly what it was. We'll talk about the Wild today. They are going to play here in against Toronto. Toronto did get in last night. We thankfully did not get the 2 feet of snow that they were projecting. Still a bit of a blizzard, but the Wild did not look good last night, and they need to get things rocking and rolling in a better way today against Toronto.
To their credit, they did carry the plate against the Rangers. It's just, you mentioned it in our chat. The passing was off yesterday.
Awful.
It's just, making
Yeah.
puck plays. Sometimes you just are not crisp. You're not sharp in your execution, because to be able to score goals, you got to execute as far as being clean. Got to make good passes. You got to put it on the tape the tape. You got to be able to read the play, especially when you've got the puck in the offensive zone. And they were awful in all those areas yesterday. And yes, Shesterkin made some big saves, but you're right. Execution, puck plays. Their puck play was just off yesterday in that game against the Rangers.
And did you hear your favorite coach, John Hines? He kind of called himself out, saying that, there's some things that, me and my staff need to work on, that, clearly these slow starts, this is on us. And I you appreciate that kind of candid comment from your head coach. When we see coaches making mistakes, oftentimes they kind of will kind of bypass it, but he's taking ownership for it. But yeah, the passing that we saw from the Wild in October and in that November, December run that brought them back into contention and near the top of the Central, that passing has not been there of late, and that's problematic. And as somebody who's watched this Wild team for a long time, that's been one of their bugaboos. When they end up struggling and they end up losing, they aren't passing the puck cleanly, they aren't executing, and even their shot selection. Other than Quinn Hughes and Kaprizov, their shot selection for most of those guys have been kind of.
I'll exclude Quinn Hughes. Even Quinn Hughes had a couple of plays there that just didn't click. But mostly he's been really good with that. But everybody else, I think, has got to kind of step it up. As far as just being able to make the right read. Another thing too on some of these power plays yesterday, when there's a shot blocker right in the shooting lane, maybe don't shoot the puck. Because that happened a couple of times yesterday with Minnesota. Like, you got no fucking chance of getting the puck through to the net. The guy's right in the lane. He's got the legs together, ready to just, block the shot. That's not the time you shoot. That's the time you pass, or that's the time you look for another option. I saw some of that yesterday as someone that's just crying out for one more goal there with the total on 6 there.
Right.
That was a very frustrating push. That should have went over the total, that Rangers and Wild game. We're going to see if we can avoid the pain with a Wild over on the card today, which I will get to a little bit later on with the Sunday slate. But speaking of the Sunday slate, it is time to get into it. I see Jonathan's in the chat. So Jonathan, if you can, pull up those numbers or post those numbers in the YouTube chat with the Sunday unders. We'll get those updated. I know last week the Sunday unders, not quite as dominant start to finish. We did have some overs last week. I remember that Boston-Pittsburgh game. What a crazy game that was. It flew way over the total. But we did have a couple of those early games last Sunday go over the total. It's still something you need to be aware of, because the long-term record and numbers for these Sunday unders has been very strong. The games before 8 p.m. Eastern, that is. That's what we've got here on this Sunday. The first of the 6 games, we've got the St. Louis Blues taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg -120, home favorites, 5.5 being the total here in this game. I think this sets up wonderfully for St. Louis today. It really does. They got the rest advantage. They're 7-2 since the Olympic break. They're one of the hottest teams in the NHL since the Olympic break. You don't have to twist St. Louis's arm to get fired up to play the Winnipeg Jets when the Jets bounced them in 7 games in that thrilling series last year in the first round. I don't trust Winnipeg off a good game. Okay, good job. You beat Colorado, and they did. Credit to them. Great win. Fantastic win. But this is a very erratic bunch. This is a team that's very capable of winning against Colorado yesterday, coming back and losing here to a red-hot St. Louis team. Not to mention the Blues are going to get Eric Comrie today, most likely in net, because Connor Hellebuck started the game yesterday for the Winnipeg Jets. Should be Joel Hofer for St. Louis, although it's not confirmed. And even if it's Binnington, I like St. Louis here. They're red-hot. They've got the rest advantage. It's a great price, plus 100. They're always going to be fired up to play the Jets, given what happened in the playoffs last year. It's just a red-hot commodity, and I haven't backed them enough. I haven't been quick enough backing St. Louis during this run. I saw it starting to percolate coming out of the Olympic break, that they were starting to put things together, but they definitely have played, like I said, very good hockey out of the Olympic break. So, yeah, those are good numbers. I don't like seeing that, Jonathan. Comrie's numbers against St. Louis are very good, but I'm going against that. Blues, to me, at this price are worth a look here. This could be an under, given the fact Comrie, has good numbers against the Blues, and given the fact Hofer's been excellent lately he was terrific in the win against Edmonton on Friday night, that it could be a lower scoring game here with the Blues and the Jets. But I'm on St. Louis here, plus 100. Alex, what do you think here, St. Louis, Winnipeg?
Yeah, I might go a little smaller on that team total. Look, I was looking at a flat 3 at even money over at MGM. But like I said, with Comrie's numbers being a little bit stronger against St. Louis, I still think St. Louis, you got to go with the hot momentum team. And if you're the Blues, if you're serious about trying to get back into this playoff race, you have to climb over the carcasses in front of you. That being Winnipeg, that being Nashville. Like you said, Utah with a bad loss. You're now only 10 points away from catching them in your division race. These are 2 points you absolutely positively need. And, this has to be one of your biggest games of the year for the Blues. So at even money, I will definitely jump in on the money line. Like I said, play a little piece smaller with that flat team total at 3.
Yeah, back to the well, too, with the usual suspects for St. Louis. We've talked about there's good value in their props for the Blues right now. And, of course, I'm talking about the group of Holloway, Thomas, and Snuggerud, all on that top line. They've all been threatening to score. They've all been in good offensive form. So definitely liking the props that you can get with both of those, or all three of those players, really, going into this game this afternoon. Let me see what the prices are. Holloway is plus 240 is the best price for him. Jimmy Snuggerud plus 290, the best price with his prop. And you could get just shy of bargain bin at plus 298 is Robert Thomas. So still pretty good prices, all things considered. Mark Scheifele's birthday, Jonathan saying in the chat, 2 of the 3 Jets goals against St. Louis this year. So definitely something to consider going into this game. Connor's had success against the Blues in the past. Robert Thomas has had success against the Jets in the past. Pius Suter has as well. I'm going to sprinkle on Pius Suter. He scored in the last game for the Blues, plus 500. He has scored at a decent percentage clip against Winnipeg in the past. So, like I said, definitely. And that's a good point about that Jonathan made about, we talk about how a great win for Winnipeg. We didn't realize it when the show was on yesterday. We hadn't heard about it, at least at the time, that the Avs were stuck for 7 hours on the airport tarmac there in Seattle prior to getting to Winnipeg. So they played like it, quite honestly, yesterday. Did the Colorado Avalanche in that game. They looked half asleep for much of that game against the Winnipeg Jets yesterday. But still, at the same point in time, Isak Rosen, birthday boy for him. Is he even playing for the Winnipeg Jets today? Let me just take a look here. He is on the third line with Gus Nyquist and Jonathan Toews. So Isak Rosen here for the Jets, birthday boy, plus 560 if you buy into him, maybe potting one here on his birthday. All right, next up as we continue along here, that, by the way, is one of 2 afternoon games. The other is a late afternoon game in Ottawa. We have San Jose, Ottawa. The Senators minus 200, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. As of now, there's a real possibility we could be looking at it is James Reimer, actually. It is confirmed. Travis Green announced it, basically, that they'd be splitting Allmark and Reimer this weekend. Allmark got the game against Anaheim yesterday. It will be James Reimer. James Reimer actually has good numbers in his last 4 starts, like 3-1 and a sub-2 goals against average, believe it or not. So he's actually played pretty well. Now, the last game he got a shutout against Vancouver, but Vancouver didn't really threaten much. It was a pretty low-event game for the Vancouver Canucks and James Reimer's last start. So we'll see how he fares here going into this matchup today against a much more potent offensive team, the San Jose Sharks. But the Ottawa Senators continue to play pretty good defensive hockey overall. Like they continue to be one of these teams that doesn't give up a ton of great chances. They're one of the best shot suppression teams in the NHL this season, especially of late. Fewest shots on goal allowed per game. Ottawa's constantly right up there. That's why 3 straight unders probably for Ottawa has been because of that better defensive play. I mean, they gave up the 3 goals to Montreal and the loss to the Habs. Other than that, they've had back-to-back 2 shutouts in their last 3 games against Anaheim and Vancouver. So they are playing some solid defensive hockey, and that might help Reimer out, that the team defense is in good form right now for the Sens. The Sharks, back-to-back road wins against Boston and Montreal. Looking to make it 3 straight road wins here, though Ottawa has beaten San Jose 5 of the last 6 meetings here between these 2 teams. I'm just going to keep it simple here. Give me the draw in this one. I mean, at this price, I could only look San Jose, but I kind of like Ottawa's momentum. I kind of think too, San Jose's in a little bit more of the disadvantageous scheduling spot because they played last night and have to travel. It's short travel. It's just a little train ride basically, or short flight. They probably just did a short flight from Montreal to Ottawa, or whereas Ottawa, rather, they played early yesterday afternoon against Anaheim and no travel for them. They get to stay at home. So it's a little bit of an advantage for Ottawa in that regard. But just the draw for me pregame. I may jump in on an over live. I don't want to take it now, though, at 6.5. But I'll see if I can wait to find something live. At the end of the day, this is Reimer. He's been good lately, and the defense has been good in front of him. But he's still a little bit of a downgrade from Allmark. And we really have the possibility here that we could be looking at with, obviously, Ask About Me is out. He is obviously not available. Yaroslav Askarov, lower body injury. Alex Nedeljkovic started against Montreal. So either they start Nedeljkovic again today on a back-to-back, or we could be talking about the forgotten man, Laurent Brossoit, starting for the San Jose Sharks today. Yes, the guy that we were so excited about getting a chance with the Blackhawks 2 years ago, and he basically went into witness protection for 2 years from that point on. So Laurent Brossoit could make his San Jose Sharks debut. So for me, it's just the draw pregame, and we'll assess things once we find out who San Jose and Ryan Warsofsky are going to turn to in net. But Alex, go ahead. Sharks Sens.
Yeah, I'm on the draw here as well. I grabbed plus 347. Which is still available at Bet Online. And you mentioned, we could possibly see Laurent Brossoit, who, like you mentioned, was a Blackhawk for 2 years on paper and had a bunch of surgeries, played with Rockford for a few games, scored a goal down there, then gets traded to San Jose. And, he just happens to go 11-2-1 with the Barracuda since getting traded. Because, he's a quality goaltender, and he was one of the best backups in the NHL. Why you don't fucking keep him and decide to get rid of Arvid Soderblom for Cal
I knew you were going there.
I have no fucking idea. Just unbelievable. I was furious when I found out how well he's been playing with the Barracuda of late. But good for him. He seems to be a great guy. Everybody likes him, and now he gets the opportunity to play with a team that could possibly ride him and ride his hot streak in the playoffs. What better timing would it be? Because you worry about Yaroslav Askarov in the short term making a playoff run, right? He's had health issues already in the first 2 years of his NHL term, and he's a young guy. Nedeljkovic is a guy you can't really roll with. But here's a guy in Brossoit who he doesn't have a lot of playoff experience playing in games, but he's been with teams. He's been through the wars with Vegas, been through those wars with Winnipeg. So it's perfect fit for San Jose. And it may be that kind of timing like we saw with Alex Lyon a few years ago. You bring that journeyman guy in when your other goalies are struggling, and he can help get that momentum rolling. So I lean with the Sharks here and maybe look for something live, especially if he is starting and he's looking good. But pregame, I did grab the draw because that is a great price. Anywhere plus 340, plus 350 range with two teams still fighting their asses off trying to get points.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like I said, definitely worth a look. Yeah, there's some good goal props. I think the chat has already mentioned the two that I like the absolute most for San Jose today. Colin Graff is one of them. He scored in back-to-back games, heating up again for San Jose, and you can find him at plus 400 at some spots. And the other is the former Senator, the hockey god, Adam Gaudette. Remember, former Senator, so former player angle. Now, of course, with San Jose, and he's plus 560 to find the back of the net as he plays against his former team. So that's something to consider. John Klingberg with 6 goals in 14 games versus Ottawa. And Klingberg had a little sequence there. I think it was a while back earlier in the season where he started all of a sudden start to score goals. So, yeah, and I think you're right. First time Gaudette has played in Ottawa against the Senators since leaving there. So, yeah, that's, I think, something that's worth a look here. And then for Ottawa, Dylan Cousins, we've talked about how he's been picking it up lately offensively for the Sens. Batherson's been pretty reliable. Ridley Gregg's on the second line. Pinto. Amadio, too, is a streaky player, Michael Amadio here for the Ottawa Senators. And suddenly he's got 3 goals in the last 6 games for this Ottawa team. So Amadio could be someone to consider here. It's a good goal prop game. There's a lot of good value here in this one. And so more than a couple good goal prop options here for this matchup. All right, we move along next to Anna. Now, the rest of the games are at night, 4 night games. Anaheim, Montreal, 7 p.m. Eastern. Montreal minus 145 to minus 150 is what we're looking at here as home favorites. 6.5 the total, shaded to the over in this game. Disappointing loss for the Habs last night. losing 4-2 to San Jose. They'll be looking to bounce back. And Anaheim, both teams looking to bounce back off disappointing losses yesterday. Anaheim blanked by Ottawa 2-0 yesterday afternoon. Again, this is dog or pass, two teams that are like looking for bounce back performances. My hesitation is because I thought I'd be on Anaheim here, and I'm always interested off a loss and as an underdog Anaheim. But I don't know if I want to fade Jacob Fowler because he's almost assuredly going to get the start here for Montreal. And he wasn't just good. He was great. He was stupendous. He was out of his skull good for Montreal in that win against Ottawa earlier this week, especially the last minute or two. He was insane, the saves he was making. He single-handedly robbed me of that overcashing. I'll never forgive him for that. Jacob Fowler. They should have tied that game. I'll tell you what, if Sam Montembeault was in net, that game's going to overtime against the Ottawa Senators the other night. So like I said, he was really good, and he's clearly coming up here with motivation to play well because he wants to stay up here with the Canadians. He doesn't want to go back to Laval. He wants to be part of this playoff push, and he wants to get more starts. So I expect him to be in net here on the back-to-back. So that's the only thing that I'm leery of here with the over and with Anaheim is going up against Jacob Fowler, who looked great, obviously, in that first start. Lukas Dostal should be in net here for Anaheim because they gave Billy Husso the start yesterday against Ottawa. It's a tough luck loss for Husso. He played pretty well, but obviously no run support, so to speak, with Anaheim getting shut out. So this is more of a live game for me. This is one where I lean Ducks, I lean draw. But nothing strong pregame other than some props, which I'll get to. Alex, what do you think here? Anaheim, Montreal.
Pre-game, I like first period both teams to score plus 160. That sets up the look for both first period over live, as you mentioned. But I feel like this could be a game where if that first period over cashes, it's a good spot to get a live under. So that's the way I'm kind of looking at that. First period over, and then maybe into a live under full game. But I have a piece of both teams to score pregame. Plus
Fowler start against Ottawa did go over. I might bet first period over, both teams to score first period as well, and then cool off the full game. And that's been happening a lot lately. Look at all the games, Alex, last night that had goals early and just died after that. Yep. Calgary Islanders. There's another one, too. The Rangers Wild was a first period over, but the full game over landed on a push. Toronto Buffalo was a first period over that didn't go over in the full game. Many of those yesterday.
Yeah, so this is something to look into now with some of these teams where you get these hot starts, but then teams make their corrections, coaches making their adjustments after the first period, and then we see the games kind of taper off. So,
yeah, I've noticed that lately. There's been a ton of these games lately, the last couple of days, 2-3 days, where first period's been flying over, and yet somehow the full game is staying under. And we had a few more of those yesterday. So, yeah, first period. Plus, it's the shutout angle, right? Team off a shutout loss. That long-term, that system, I've lost track of how it's doing, quite honestly. But, usually teams that are off a shutout loss do push and be aggressive offensively, especially early. So it could lend to that first period over getting there. As far as props for Anaheim and Montreal, like I said, Caulfield, Suzuki both scored last night. For the Montreal Canadiens. Cutter Gauthier is obviously someone to consider. Just same with Alex Killorn. He started to really pick things up a little bit offensively for the Anaheim Ducks in recent games. On the Montreal side, let me see. Kapanen is someone that's always worth a look here. It looks like Uri Slavkovsky, too, with Suzuki and Caulfield. Probably some good value. I like what I've seen from the big Slovak of late. So there's definitely a couple of props to consider in that game. All right, Toronto and oh my God, I said Toronto like an American. My bad, I've never done that. Jeez, Toronto taking on that's better. Toronto and Minnesota. We've got Alex laughing there. I did. I'd never say it like that. American.
That is funny. That is funny.
Toronto.
I did. Yeah, Toronto.
Yeah. Toronto and Minnesota. Minnesota minus 250. Home favorites. They even enunciate the second T even louder. Most Americans, they say Toronto like that. I've heard.
Oh yeah, that is kind of the normal. Yeah, I think I grew up saying kind of the T a little harder. Toronto.
Yeah, there we go. But Toronto, what the hell happened there? That's disappeared. That's happened a lot. The thing just disappears magically, and I don't click anything. There we go. Anyway, Minnesota minus 250, home favorite, 6 the total as I babble away here. My apologies. But Leafs and Wild, I'm coming back to the first period full game over by Facta here. Again, we had the first period over easily with Rangers and Wild yesterday, and with the Leafs and Sabres. Did it again. What the hell is going on here? All right, there we go.
Is there like a timer set on
some
there?
kind of timer going on here. That's
Yeah.
why. There we go. Now let's get rid of that. There we go. Timer's off. There we go. Excellent. All right, we're set now. Okay, yeah. First period over, full game over. I like it. I think this game is going. I think this game's going to go over both first period, full game this time around. First period over in 9 straight Leaf games. Great stat from Timothy. I've noticed that. A lot of goals early in Leafs games. And now I've got Toronto and Buffalo. Okay, we're just a mess here with this game. Okay, here we go. Toronto and Minnesota. You're right. That's from yesterday. There we go. Toronto and Minnesota. But yeah, I like goals early and often. Anthony Stolarz in net has not been in close to the equal of Joseph Woll lately. And that's another thing. You're going to get Anthony Stolarz in net here for the Toronto Maple Leafs on the second night of a back-to-back. They did get into Minnesota, by the way, so it's game on. We were concerned this might get canceled if the Leafs weren't able to fly into Minneapolis, St. Paul. But they were able to last night. So it's game on. TNT will be happy. This is their game. This is a TNT game nationally here tonight. So I know they didn't want to lose out on having a NHL game tonight, even if one of the teams is out of it. But like I said, yeah, I like first period over, full game over. And we lost the Buffalo team total over last night. Minnesota's not been in great offensive form these last few games, so I'm a little concerned, but I'm still going to take Minnesota team total over 3.5 tonight. In this game. I like the over by Fecta more, though, because I think Toronto could score. Toronto, the effort was really strong last night against Buffalo. Now, the counter argument could be, well, they gave it their all because it's Buffalo. It was the first game after their manhood was insulted with the lack of response to the Austin Matthews knee-on-knee at the hands of Radko Gudas. And I think that played into it, Alex, last night. Why did Toronto play so hard? They were embarrassed. Their manhood, their fucking, team toughness, team culture, everything was getting questioned and ridiculed after that incident with Radko Gudas and Austin Matthews against Anaheim. And they played like a team, like, hey, we got to show people we're tough, we're a together team, that kind of stuff last night against Buffalo. Maybe there's a little emotional hangover from that tonight, back-to-back against Minnesota. But again, Minnesota's been giving up goals. Jesper Wallsted's going to be in net for Minnesota. He's been shaky lately, hasn't been shutting the door lately. The one shutout Minnesota had was Gustafsson in net for them, not Wallstead. So I like first period over. I like full game over, and a little bit on the Wild team total over as well here in this one. Alex, what do you think for Leafs Wild?
Yeah, over by Fecta live for me. And like I said, there's still some variables with this game. Yes, it's happening. The Leafs were literally the last plane to get into MSP Airport at like 2 in the morning when everything else around had been canceled. And we did not get the crazy snow, like I said, that we were supposed to. We were supposed to be getting like 1 to 3 inches an hour overnight, which would have certainly canceled their flight and canceled this game. Thankfully, they are here, but the roads are an absolute mess. So what the crowd effect will be different. I can't imagine this is going to be a full 18,000 at Grand Casino Arena, and the Wild kind of rely on that. That crowd energy kind of kept them in that game early. After being down 2-0, they brought them back in to that contest and got those couple of goals. But we talked about at the beginning of the show, the passing has been awful for Minnesota late. And if they're going to get their offense humming again, if they're going to be the team, like I said, that looked like this unstoppable force in November, December, they have to clean it up with their passing. They have to have better shot execution. And this is a good team for them to do it against with the Maple Leafs. But I just don't know if it's going to be there right away, especially on the second of a back-to-back. So travel is going to be just tough. Just your regular routine is going to be disrupted with how much snow is still on the ground here for fans and even players getting to the arena and stuff like that. So I want to watch this one live. It's a TNT game, but I am circling the over by back.
All right, good stuff. Prop-wise here for me tonight with the Leafs and the Wild, I'm looking at the lineups here. Ryan Hartman, I agree, as long as he's still with Kaprizov and Zook on the top line, there's value. I know he's kind of cooled off, but he does have that. There it is from Jonathan, 2 goals in 4 games against Stolarz in particular, tonight's starter for the Leafs. So he has had success against Anthony Stolarz going into this one. This is one where it's kind of more of a feel, just a gut feel with him because he finally scored yesterday, even though he's on the third line. Yurov for Minnesota, Danila Yurov. I thought he played a pretty good game for them yesterday. I think he might be worth a goal prop shot here for this game for Minnesota. For Toronto, I'd probably reiterate the same players I've talked about a little bit of late, which is Michelli, still on the top line with Tavares and Nylander, obviously without Austin Matthews, and Easton Cowan, because I continue to see him give an effort every night. And that's what you're looking for. And he's trying to show what he can do for this team long term. And he's with Domi and with Nyes on the second line. So those are a couple of Leaf players I would consider as far as goal props tonight. All right. We got next up Toronto taking on, or not that we just did Toronto, Minnesota, my bad. Florida, Seattle. Next up, Florida minus 130 road favorites. 5.5, 6 the total here, depending on where you look. This is one where the draw could be in play. I did sprinkle on the draw a little bit here with Florida and Seattle. I know Seattle got the win they needed to get yesterday last night against the Vancouver Canucks, but it was Vancouver. We can't go crazy about how everything's back on track now for the Seattle Kraken. That being said, they got 2 points that they needed. Florida, I mean, don't look now, but a team that isn't going to make the playoffs, but you want to see, is there still a high level of compete? Is there still a high level of effort and will, to win games? And we've seen that from Florida. 3 straight wins. They beat Detroit in back-to-back games over the Red Wings, and then a 2-1 win against Columbus in overtime. So, Florida has won 3 in a row, starting a road trip. I don't mind looking at Florida. I just don't love minus 130 on the road against a team that's desperate for points. But I'm not trusting Seattle to beat a good team yet, or a better team than Vancouver, certainly. I mean, Florida's had their issues. They're not going to make the playoffs. Disappointing season. They're still better than Vancouver. So at this price, I lean Florida. I don't love it enough to bet it. I'm just going to sprinkle on the draw pregame. It looks like as far as goaltenders here with Panthers Kraken, at the moment, I'm seeing it being Bobrovsky and Decord projected, although we don't have confirmations yet either way. Keep in mind, still a lot of injuries for Florida. Balinskis is out. Bennett's out. Marchand's out. Reinhart, all of them still out right now for the Florida Panthers going into this game. So short-handed, but team's still been giving you an honest effort every night, and that's coaching. And credit to Paul Maurice right now that he's got this team still chiming in with a good effort, putting their work boots on, punching the clock, and still trying to do the best they can. Alex, what do you think here, Florida, Seattle?
I'm taking a shot here with Seattle. I grabbed plus 113 at BetOnline, and you look at the history with obviously better Florida teams. Seattle has given them a run for their money. They've won 5 of the last 8 meetings, and even the meetings that Florida has won, a 2-1 game that had to go to a shootout, seeing another 3-2 game a couple of years ago. So Seattle has played Florida tough, and we're talking about worse Seattle teams and better Florida teams. So in a spot where Seattle needs every point they can get, I said riding off that momentum of beating Vancouver and a decent plus price, I said plus 113 was the best price I found at BetOnline. Taking a little shot with Kraken.
Yeah, like I said, it's certainly as far as the 2, who is the 2 point, who for which team is the 2 points more important and valuable to? With 100%, it's Seattle, no question about that. So solely making a decision based on that, you'd be on Seattle here, especially as a home underdog, no question.
Now we have to say it. Yeah. I don't think we've said it so far this year, but we're probably going to say it about 3,000 times between now and the middle of April. Must win doesn't mean will win, but yes. This is basically a must-win spot for Seattle, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you got to wonder too. Florida, okay, they beat Columbus and Detroit, a couple of Eastern teams, and after this, they got Vancouver. So if it was Edmonton coming up, Stanley Cup final rematch. See, I really would have loved Seattle more if Edmonton was the next game on deck for Florida. The Stanley Cup final rematch team they've got a lot of history with, but it's Vancouver, then they go to Edmonton on this Pacific Northwest Western Canadian road trip that they're on. But still, I get the reasons for liking Seattle. Hopefully they step up because they're such a flighty, as we know, they're a flighty, erratic bunch. And sometimes when you're ready to trust them, they let you down. They've done that to me, a couple of times this season. But after snapping the 4-game losing streak, albeit Vancouver as the opponent, we'll see if they can build on that tonight. As far as goal props, Verhaeghe and for Florida, I'm looking at who's going to be, because they got a lot of injuries, so there's going to be value in the top 6 for Florida. Luostarinen and Lundell with Tkachuk. Take your pick with Kuhlman or Lundell. I think either one of them, probably some good value as far as props with the injuries there. They're still up on the top line right now. for the Panthers. Verhaeghe, like I said, has started to heat up a little bit. So those would be some of the ones I'd look at on their side. For Seattle, you have to look at the guy that in his Seattle Kraken debut last night, 2 goals and 1 assist. Boy, well worth the wait. God, it took him forever to finally make his Seattle debut with the fucking visa issues and all this nonsense about, because of course he comes from Toronto, from the Leafs. So it took him a long time to get all that sorted out. But finally he played his first game for Seattle last night. And what a debut. 2 goals and 1 assist for me and Bobby McMahon for the Seattle Kraken. I think you got to look at Bobby McMahon right now. Plus 340. Is that true? Bet Rivers has plus 340 on Bobby McMahon. Holy shit. That's a great price. Wow. Everywhere else is like plus 260, 70, and you got that lone rogue 340 out there at Bet Rivers. So that's outstanding value. Bobby McMahon played a heck of a game. He's going to fit in nicely. I love that. I said it right from the get-go. We're not just saying that now because he played well last night. I said that, right when the trade happened, Alex. You can go back and watch the previous shows. I said I think it's a great fit, Bobby McMahon, for the Seattle Kraken, because they needed a little more offensive punch up front. His speed, he's got a good release. He goes to the net. That's how he scored one of his goals. Just a lovely redirect for one of the goals last night. It's a great fit for Seattle. They needed someone like him at the deadline. So it was a nice ad for Seattle. McCann, poor Johnny Forsland, the great voice, not good, great voice of the Kraken, has to deal with McCann and McMahon every game now moving forward as far as calling those 2 names. But McCann's been pretty good lately for the Seattle Kraken as well. So maybe a look toward him as far as a goal prop tonight as well for the Kraken here in this one. But it's an interesting game. All right, last game of this Sunday slate. We've got Nashville, Edmonton. Edmonton minus 180. Home favorites total sitting at 6.5 in this game. If this is Jari in net, this is going to be Nashville money line. This is going to be Nashville team total over, and this is going to be full game over for sure. But I'm waiting for that. Because we're starting to see difference in Edmonton with Connor Ingram and Tristan Jari of late. Connor Ingram's actually played well. 2 starts or even in the St. Louis game, he played pretty well in that game, even though they lost in overtime. And of course, we saw the way he played against Colorado for most of that game. He got injured, left the game, but in the first 2 periods, he played pretty well against the Avs earlier this week. I would think you got to go with Connor Ingram here. Why the hell would you give Jari a shot after what he did against Dallas? Another rough night for him. You got to think Chris Knobloch's got to turn to Connor Ingram here in between the pipes for the Edmonton Oilers with Jari's struggles. Not to mention Connor Ingram as well as a former Nashville Predator. This is a guy that started his NHL career with the Nashville Predators years ago, so be playing his former team as well. So if it's Ingram, put it this way, I ain't laying minus 180 with the Oilers either way here in this game. But if it is Tristan Jari, I'd be more interested in Nashville. If it's Ingram, probably be a little less interested in Nashville. I'd probably pivot more toward Edmonton, as Russell Deck in the chat says, team total over on the Oilers. So I think the Oilers are going to probably play well here. Focused, blown out by Dallas. Brutal loss where they coughed up a 2-0 lead to St. Louis on Friday night and lost in overtime. That I could definitely see them having a step-up effort here on their home ice against Nashville. It's not like Nashville's rip-roaring lately. They are only 2-5 in their last 7 games, 3-7 in their last 10 games. And the wins were Seattle. They did beat Boston, but that was at home, and Boston's been terrible on the road. Seattle, up and down, and Chicago. So those are the only 3 wins that Nashville's had in their last 10 games. They haven't been able to show any the ability to beat a lot of quality teams during this last 10-game stretch. So the way I'm going to go about it, check the Patreon page, patreon.com/Ice Guys, $10 per month. Get the whole card, sides, totals, player props each and every day on the Patreon page. I will have my moves on this game posted later. I haven't decided on anything yet. If it's Jari, I probably look at Nashville moneyline team total over split and the full game over. And if it's Ingram, I probably might still bet the full game over, but definitely going to lean more to the Edmonton team total over in that circumstance here in this game tonight. Alex, what do you think? Final game, Nashville-Edmonton.
Yeah, I'm right there with you as far as sides. Anything side or team total related, you have to wait and check Patreon. But full game over, I'm more likely we'll just be waiting to move on that in game anyway. I would wait for a 6. Like I said, I'd rather lay 120, 125 with a 6 than trying to jump in with a 6.5 here in the spot. Just kind of play law averages there, so you can wait a little bit. And Ingram, he has been obviously the better option than Jari, but Ingram's still shaky at times. So like I said, it's not just all of a sudden a duck walk to where I'm just gonna take Oilers and over
Right.
because it's Ingram over Jari. This is, like I said, it's a Nashville team that's hard to trust, but an Edmonton team where they have 2 goalies that are kind of hard to trust too. So lean with the over in game. And like I said, any sides or totals, I'll wait until we have confirmation of both ends of who's in net.
I really like Matt Savoy goal prop tonight. Looks like they might be slotting him tonight, Chris Knobloch, with Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman on the top line. So if that's the case, that's going to be excellent goal prop value here tonight for Matt Savoy of the Edmonton Oilers. And again, let me just do they have, wait a minute, they should have his goal prop. Why am I not seeing them show up? But they should. There we go. Now I see them. Okay, plus 360 at some books for Matt Savoy. There's a good point by Jonathan with Ryan Nugent Hopkins, the Nuge. He just became a new dad. So if you buy into the new dad bump, plus 200, that's something to consider as well here in this game. Ekholm assist, and there's a couple of assist props I noticed people were discussing in our Ice Guys group chat that, and those are always worth a look. Let me just see for this game as far as assists go. Yeah, Draisaitl's on a 3-game assist streak. Podkolzin, Savoy, and Yossi had assists in their last game. Evan Bouchard, 8 of the last 10 with an assist. Matthias Ekholm, 7 of the last 10 with an assist. So those are some of the assist streaks. RNH likely to replace Savoy if he is back. That's true, because Savoy was up there because of Nugent Hopkins' absence. So if Nugent Hopkins is back from his personal leave, because he didn't play against St. Louis because of that, then, yeah, he could take that spot. So it could make Savoy less appealing if Nugent Hopkins is in. But regardless, we'll have to wait and see on that. And then for Nashville, I'm trying to see as far as goal props on their side. I'm looking at the current form. Stamkos obviously has been very solid. I keep seeing Matthew Wood here for Nashville. He's been noticeable of late. So that could be someone to look at too. Even though he's on the third line, I think he's had some pretty good chances for them here in recent games. All right, there you go. That's the Sunday card. Shout out to everyone. Appreciate it. Hit the like button. Hope you enjoyed the analysis of the Sunday NHL slate. Check out wizardsportspicks.com. Of course, Selection Sunday, NCAA tournament starting later this week. Can't wait for that. #1 in college basketball on the site. #1 in NHL on the site. #1 in the NFL this past season on the site. So it's been a great run at wizardsportspicks.com. I did the Beyond the Lines video for the YouTube channel today, so check that out. So get on board with me or any of the great handicappers for March Madness over at wizardsportspicks.com. And not just college basketball, but NHL, NBA daily, and, of course, MLB baseball right around the corner. And, yes, I've been asked a million times. I do handicap baseball. So whether you're buying picks at Wizard Sports Picks, whether you're on my Dub Club, all sports subscription, baseball will be part of the package. No question about that. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So make sure you check that out. And, of course, we're going to ramp up the frequency of live betcasts exclusive to Patreon members in April and beyond. We're looking forward to that for sure. And, again, the $50 off discount, all sports for 1 month at Dub Club, still available, that offer, and it's posted on the Patreon page for Patreon Ice Guys members only. Only you guys are being offered that $50 off discount, so that's still available as well. So check it out, and a reminder as well that the membership goes a long way to supporting the show, so get on board. $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You have until midnight Eastern tonight to save 20% off all your orders. You just hit the redeem button at the homepage, add your items to the cart, and 20% will be taken off at checkout. It's a good time to grab a hoodie, grab a cap, grab a t-shirt, a mug, anything you want, and you can get 20% off if you hit that redeem button at the homepage. It's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, there you go. Midnight tonight. Get in on that offer and get some merch at the Ice Guys store. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
All right, great stuff. All right, time for a bargain bin special of the night for this 6-game Sunday NHL slate. And we'll try to add to the great run it's been post-Olympic break with the bargain bin special of the night. You're going to have to explain that, John X. You on home run to Ian? Question mark. Speak English, please. Explain that one to me, John. What are you trying to ask me there? But I just saw that. I'm like, what? Yeah, try to explain that to me. I figure that out. You're trying to ask me something, obviously. But anyway, bargain bin special of the night. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for bargain bin special of the night?
Let's go swimming in Ottawa. We're going to go with a pair of Sharks to get on the board here. Colin Graff, anytime goal scorer, you can get him plus 350. That'll be my first bargain bin special. And then Adam Gaudette, the former Sen playing against his old team, get him anytime goal scorer plus 525. So those would be my two bargain bin specials. Colin Graff plus 350 anytime goal, and Adam Gaudette 525 anytime goal, both for the Sharks.
Yeah, I like it. We got overlap because one of mine is Colin Graff for the San Jose Sharks as well. So we have a common goal bargain bin special here for Alex and I, and one of them for me is Colin Graff plus 400, the best price available that I found with Colin Graff. And like I said, he's been heating up once again for the San Jose Sharks and back-to-back games with a goal for him. So to be able to get plus 400, I think there's a lot of good prop options. I like Gaudette. I like Amadio for Ottawa. Pinto, there's some real good options there as far as goal props in that Sharks-Senators game. But for me, first bargain bin special, Colin Graff, San Jose, plus 400 for this Sunday. And my second bargain bin special of the night for this slate, he scored 2 in his debut for Seattle. Bet Rivers has that plus 340. Little me and Bobby McMahon, someone that's cashed a bargain bin special for us in the past. We'll see if we can get it one more time here tonight. Bobby McMahon, Seattle, plus 340 to go with Colin Graff, San Jose, plus 400 for my two bargain bin specials of the night for this Sunday NHL slate. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Let's go with that. Habs and Ducks, both teams to score in the first period. We think this game may temper down later, but as far as the first period goes, especially with the team coming off of a shutout, that always a strong look as well. Expecting goals from each team here. So Anaheim, Montreal, first period, both teams to score plus 150. Best price available over at FanDuel. That'll be my Sunday best bet.
All right, Anaheim, Montreal, both teams to score. First period for Alex with best bet for this Sunday card. My best bet for this Sunday slate, I'm going to attempt to make up for lost time with this team. This is the afternoon, or one of the two afternoon games. St. Louis, plus 100. You can find May in St. Louis. Yeah, St. Louis, plus 100 against Winnipeg. Red hot, 7-2 in their last 9 games. I think they get the job done against an inconsistent Winnipeg Jets team. St. Louis, plus 100 against Winnipeg for my best bet here for this Sunday NHL card. Oh, okay, now it makes sense. John was asking me, are you bet? Yeah, I do bet home run props in baseball. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Not as much frequency as goal props in the NHL, but I do bet them. So there you go. All right, shout out to everyone. Appreciate you guys joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. And don't forget, we have a BetCast free-for-all open to everybody a week from Tuesday, March 24th. 7 p.m. Eastern. Mark that date down. Our next Ice Guys Live BetCast. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow on Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.